Ian Gurupaswamy, Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, Kumaresan, Sandeep, Shankar, Ajit Kumar, Anand Dave, Venugopal, sorry, Veer Raghavan, Elmal. Good morning to you all. Gaurinath. Durga Prasad Garu. Good morning. Jair Hussain. Ramesh Keeta, Kiran Balavi, VN Hiremat, Nilkant Thakur, Rajesh Khanna, Suresh Chandra Zabral, Subramania Mavala, Hemant Reddy Garu. Yeah, purposefully I'm just having a coffee. I kept videos. Arkam, Azim, Divya. It is time. We are just 2 minutes. Yeah. Good morning to you all. Mallikarjun. So I'll start my talk today. Another important topic: building planning and design. So basically, for every civil engineer, this is a real challenge. Actually, though building, the word looks small. It involves a lot of activities, even for a residential building. When we have to plan, we have to consider a lot of factors in planning and design. So the overview of the talk is basically the road width. Whenever somebody asks me they want to buy a flat or a house, the first question I ask is, what is the road width abutting your house? So next important thing is the orientation, whether it is a north facing road or east facing road, south facing, because it affects the planning quite well, because if not vastu, even the lighting, ventilation, all these aspects, when we do the planning, the orientation of the building matters a lot. Levels of the ground, site, and building height required to be constructed, and setbacks to be followed as per the local bylaws, and the floor area ratio. Though in Telugu states, Hyderabad and AP, it doesn't matter. FAR but still in some states, this floor area ratio or FSI, floor space index, is a requirement. And the parking requirement, if we are planning apartment, what is the percentage of parking required? And the common areas to be provided for the sake of corridors, fire escape staircases, and even the elevators. All these come under common areas. And the ground coverage while planning the building. What is the permitted ground coverage? Normally, any bylaw doesn't permit more than 60% of the ground coverage. That means the rest 40% will go into the green space and what you call setbacks. And there are certain minimum amenities to be provided in case the plot area exceeds 750 square meters. So the tot lot, that is the area for children's play, has to be provided for, and amenities like community space to be provided, fire safety in case of building height exceeding 15 meters, and utilities, power transformer, water supply, water storage, and then in case it comes under fire safety norms, we have to provide the fire water sump, and vastu depending on the client's requirements, positioning of the building, and the sizing of the rooms, and lighting, ventilation, circulation spaces, and security. So these are all the aspects that we consider in planning of the building. Another thing is the form, shape in the design. The form, shape, and texture, facade, finishes. These are the aspects we have to consider in architectural aspects, which can even done by civil engineers. And civil and structural. What a civil and structural engineer is supposed to do is planning the structural system. We have different types of structural systems, like whether we want to go for a flat plate, flat slab, or slab and beam system. And then we have technology for construction, technology that can be adopted, whether it is a precast or cast in situ, or even steel, or in we have come across so many construction methods even in cast in situ, like tunnel form or My1 or designer form work, engineered form work, and all that. Next is the water source, water required even during construction, the quality of the water we have to plan. And then stormwater drains. Yesterday we talked about the stormwater system. Earthwork, whether it is filling or excavation, and the roads, culverts, and the sewage. So this is about scope of civil and structural, and even the waterproofing is the scope of civil and structural engineers. So people only talk about architecture, structure, very civil. So we have to consider civil aspects, civil engineering aspects, or these other than structural system and structural design. And then we have MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, air conditioning, and what you call firefighting. All these come under, and elevators, escalators in case of commercial building. So this is the overview of planning and design of buildings. So let us get into the topic building planning. So road width and street planning. So normally when we plan the road width, we have to have the greenery and footpath and carriageway. So any means of access is a street or road, and normally planning in any layouts, it is better to have east-west facing of the plots, because when you have the road facing east or west will be difficult to drive. You will have the sun coming onto this. So it is good to have buildings facing east and west, so that the roads will be north to south. And another technical point I would like to tell you, particularly in India, is if you are facing east and west, your plot width will be lesser always. When we plan layout, the plot width will be lesser. So and after removing setbacks and all, the building width will come to an average. If I'm talking about residential buildings, small residential building also, you will have 30 feet width of the building and length will be about 50, 60 feet. So the exposure to sun will be reduced actually. The heat gain in the building will be reduced if you have east and west facing. And then in the road widths, we have to plan the stormwater drain and sidewalks and traffic islands and roadside trees, avenue plantation, in other words, and fencing and culverts, road crossing. And width of the roads, minimum road width should be 9 meters, and then preferred is 12 meters minimum. And otherwise 18 meters road width is required for any public places like multiplex theaters or function halls or any institutions, colleges and all. That is very much essential. We must insist on. It's not for the bylaw sake, but we have to have the minimum road width for the sake of circulation, parking and traffic planning actually. And then we have 24 meter and 30 meter. In Telugu states, I can say AP and Telangana, if you have 30 meter road width, you can go for any height of the building. Normally, as per the bylaws, we should have we can maximum construct 2 times the width of the road as height of the building. That means if you have 9 meters road width, you can only construct maximum 18 meters. If it is 12 meters road width, you can go for 24 meters. And if it is 18 meters, you can go for 36 meters. Like this, it has relevance actually from road width to building height. It is always better to confine to those building heights while we plan the buildings. And setbacks depend on the this building height. And and any construction that we do, buildings particularly, are for human occupancy actually. So air, lighting, ventilation, and water and the circulation of fresh air, particularly with this COVID actually, we are getting design briefs, design intent from the clients saying that we want to reduce the usage of air conditioning. So provide us the natural cross ventilation in the building. Though it was there all along, now the people are realizing the importance of natural ventilation and antibacterial finishes. These are all very important things for the engineers to consider from now on. Actually, the orientation of the building is important as the light and ventilation play important role in our health matters actually. So it's very important, and each state community have their own orientation rules depending on the, because as we go south, it will be different, and as we go north, the climatic conditions are different. So we should follow the orientation and planning depending on the region we are planning. So if we go to northeast, there is a more rainfall always. So we have to plan preferably sloped roofs and more rainfall and sometimes even snowfall some regions. So considering this climatic condition, we decide the orientation of the building and the building roof system. Next is the building height, the vertical distance measured. This is very important point. Many people miss actually. How the building height is defined. The building height is defined with respect to the average road level, number one, or average ground level. In case the site is sloping, actually, it's not a uniform level, then we can also take the building height with reference to the average ground level. And in case of sloped roof or pitched roof, the height is measured up to the point where the external surface of outer wall intersects the finished surface of sloped roof. That is eaves actually. So you may get a doubt, if I have a sloped roof, should I take up to the ridge as the building height or eaves as the building height or average? It is the eave level. that is wall and roof intersection. Then all architectural features, that means parapet wall or facade, fascias, all are excluded from measuring the height purpose. So this is the definition of building height. And the setbacks, setback is the distance between property boundary to the building line. So somebody was asking me, in the setback, should we consider plaster? Should we consider the balconies? Yes, definitely. So setback means it is a clear open space for the building. So next important thing is the floor area ratio. A definition of floor area ratio is a total covered area of all floors, of course excluding parking, excluding corridors, excluding balconies. It is called the floor area ratio. So total covered area of all the floors. That means, in other words, plinth. Let us take it as plinth. Plinth area of the flats or plinth area of the commercial building we take, and the total plot area. So that means if you have a FAR of 1.5, let us say, in some corporations, the limit of FAR is 1.5. So if it is 1.5, means if you have 1 acre of the land, let us say, which is 43,560 square feet, 1.5 is, you have to add 43,560 plus 21,580. So that is the FAR 43,000. Let us say 600. Then it means 21,800. So 21,800 plus 43,600. So that is 64,000, 65,400 is the area, built up area you can build, plus common areas, plus balconies and all that. So that is how we arrive at the FAR. And there is some word called saleable area. If you are buying any property through developers, normally they will add, so there are definitions of carpet area, there is a plinth area, there is a slab area. Slab area excluding parking and slab area including parking. So these are all the areas we have to calculate for the sake of arriving at the floor area ratio and saleable area or carpet area. Carpet area, there are different definitions as per National Building Code and as per affordable housing norms and as per technical definitions. Normally, the carpet area is inner measurement of all the walls, excluding wet areas. Wet areas include balcony, toilets and all. That is a technical definition. But as per the affordable housing, because affordable housing defines the carpet area limits for EWG, economically weaker section group, weaker housing groups. That is 30 square meters is one limit, and we have 60 square meters is another limit, lower income groups and middle income groups, and 60 to 90 square meters, and then 120 square meters. These are the areas of limits for availing benefits of affordable housing and CLSS schemes. That is credit linked subsidy. That means if somebody is availing housing loan, the central government is going to give subsidy for the interest to be paid by the people. So CLSS scheme, that is called. Next is the parking for residential areas. Normally it varies from 30% to 40% depending on the requirements of parking are growing. Probably in future it will reduce with all this work from home and all, people may have lesser parking requirements. And commercial 40%, office 50%, and multiplex or IT buildings is 60%. IT zones, because people working in IT offices, they require more space. And the common area is the building area that is defined in all buildings where you need circulation space. Normal thumb rule for circulation space is minimum 20% in the gross area. That means if you are building 1 lakh square feet of apartments, yeah, saleable area includes common area. That's what I'm explaining now. Common area is circulation space. Circulation spaces include corridors. Circulation spaces include common utility areas, and then you have staircase, elevator, and all that. They come under common areas. So common areas percentage will be minimum 20%, and then you have parking. Parking we are seeing here. In fact, as per the bylaw, as per the RERA Act, you are not supposed to sell the parking actually. So but you have to build the parking. You see in case of IT building, you have parking of requirements of 60% on the actual area. Like if you are building 1 lakh square feet of IT office space, you have to provide at least 60,000 square feet of parking plus. So the overall building area will be 1,66,000 if you are building 1 lakh square feet. But this 1 lakh square feet office space includes your common areas, that is corridors and you have common lifts, elevators, and escalators. So the common area of each building type varies. For example, width of passage is 6 feet 6 inches for the flats, and that is about 2 meters. But with hospitals, it is 10 feet, and in some larger areas, we are even providing 12 feet corridor. So these are the bylaws. Floor area ratio minimum starts with 1 in some of the areas. These are all the bylaws actually, and it will go up to 2 maximum. But in Telugu states, for example, there is no limit. And I have come across in Kerala and Delhi, there are certain provisions which allow up to 3 also, FAR. So you have to study the, for every location of the building, we have to study the, what you call the bylaws for that location. Even in Hyderabad, we have different micro zones like Banjara Hills. There are development control norms, regulations while giving permission for layout development. So for every area, we have to consider the DCR, development control regulations, or bylaws of that. In Hyderabad itself, we have CDA, Hyderabad Development Authority, we have HADA, Hyderabad Airport Development Authority, we have HMDA, Hyderabad Metropolitan Development Authority, and we have GHMC. So many regions are there where they have defined the DCR. And in addition to that, again in GHMC area, we have certain Banjara Hills, Jubilee Hills. These are the regions where there are certain restrictions on the development, because while giving layout permission for these areas, the government has laid down certain restrictions. For example, in Banjara Hills, if the road width is not more than 30 feet, you cannot construct more than stilt plus 4. Though as per the normal regulation, you can go up to 60 feet height, but you are not permitted to construct in Banjara Hills. Similarly, there are restrictions in Jubilee Hills also. So like that, there are certain development control norms, regulations. We have to consider those things. And like SEZ, if you go for SEZ or APIIC, when the Ministry of Environment and Forests gives permission for such a development, APIIC or TSIIC or any industrial infrastructure corporation, they lay down certain restrictions. You should have the coverage this much only, and you should have the maximum floor area this much. So we have to follow those DCR norms for each of the layout development. Then green spaces, tot lot, particularly for when we, nowadays, at least in Hyderabad, I'm very clear that you should have green space of 2 meters all around the plot, minimum, when you are having, your plot size is more than 1,000 square meters. This essentially caters for healthier spaces and open spaces and tot lot. Tot lot, if you are having more than 2,000 square meters, you should have a 10% tot lot, and less than 2,000 square meters, you should have 7.5% tot lot, and less than 1,000 square meters, it is 5% tot lot. Like that, there will be norms. I cannot give all these norms for all the regions. I'm only explaining that when you are planning any building in certain regions, for example, if you are planning a building in Panchayat, let us say, Panchayat region. In Panchayat, you can only plan building of height maximum 10 meters and plot size maximum of 300 square meters. That is the limitation on authority to panchayat. So if you are taking permission from panchayat, you cannot plan more than 300 square meters and building height 10 meters. But if you want to suppose build in the panchayat more than this plot size and more than the building height, you should go for DTCP, district town, director of town and country plan. So you have to go for permission from the DTCP. So like that, you should know the limitations of each of the authority, local bodies for giving the permission. Yeah, actually, this is more a commercial decision, how much percentage of common area you have to consider. For example, in the affordable housing, normally though the common area may be more, we consider only 20%. Suppose you go for 15-storied residential building of affordable housing, then the common area will be more than 30%, but we don't load 30%, we load only 20% in the common area, because people won't be able to afford purchasing such higher costs. So that's why there is no fixed, strictly speaking, any developer should consider the total gross area of the slab and divide by the plinth area of the flats, total flats, and sell it as a saleable area. Ideally, saleable area is slab area plus parking. That is separate actually. Parking you sell separately. But some of the builders, they decide depending on the market condition, because the sales of the flats depend on the price, total price you fix for the flats. And in some regions, you have the per square feet rate also. So people consider these two aspects. That's why you have to be very cautious and discuss with your client, developer, clearly about what is his lookout for saleable area and percentage of common area. Amenities and community spaces. So you have to provide in larger development more than 5 acres. You have to provide for minimum 3% amenities and 3% for utilities. Utilities are again power transformer, STP, and water storage, pump house, and all that. So positioning and sizing. So there are norms National Building Code has defined in affordable housing also. So you have to also refer to these NBC for size of the rooms. As per RERA doesn't restrict on limitation of common areas actually, but RERA only says you define carpet area and you have to deliver that carpet area. You cannot reduce the carpet area that you define in your brochure. But for the selling purpose, you can always discuss. Yeah, this is what I am trying to organize, make these developers have a proper SOP. Actually, this we have to educate the people who are buying the flats and also people who are selling the flat, and discipline these people who are selling, because unless these two groups meet and agree, we cannot. In fact, ideally, as I said, as an engineer, we always feel that you can only measure the slab area. So measure the total slab area and you divide by number of flats, or divide by number of flats with a weighted average of common areas. That should be the way we should load the percentage of common area. But at present, yes, it is not being followed strictly by everyone. And some bigger companies are following, but down the line, as you go down, there is no transparency in declaring what is the common area even. And each room size should not be less than 90 square feet. In case of affordable housing, it is different. And we have norms for community hall for every 15,000 population, one technical institute for every 1 lakh population, and minimum road width shall be 9 meters. So, so this is the sizing of the plots and the sizing of the spaces actually. Vastu, though many people think it's a superstition, in fact, Vastu Shastra is the civil engineering or architecture those days, ancient theory of planning and design of town and even building planning. So we can even take, in fact, it gives certain discipline in planning, and it will help the professionals in reducing the number of options by following this theory. So it is sometimes good, so we can follow or not follow, but this is one of the opportunity to, in planning, to reduce the options for the designers. And the security, any building built is for the securing the security from heat, rain, personal security for his family. The security is now subject in electronics, gadgets, and all that. So some of the projects I'll share with you, which we have done. So I'm showing with the foundation drawing. Any client expects the foundation drawing. So the project begins with the drawing for excavation and foundation. So though the planning can keep continuing, changing, modifying, but people want excavation plan. So the clients will be insisting on this excavation plan. This is one of the first few projects we have done, VST Natural Products in Jahirabad. So this is another building plan. This is the foundations, and above the plinth, this is the plan, lintel layout and all that. And so this is, I want to explain how clearly we plan the buildings for the specification. Typical section, so when you have the roof, you have this parapet, we have the roof, and we have the waterproofing or the weathering course. You can see 75 mm weathering course is there, and PVC pipe for downtake. You know, here you can see we have to plan the downtake for rainwater downtake, which we have embedded in the column, and this is a column itself. So here, and we have the flat slab with the haunch. Here you can see. Here, this is as per the FDA, and so we have the wall, and here you can see here 2000 by 1500 aluminum window with the Lexan glazing. Lexan sheets is a like what is that? Poly GE sheets actually. So we use this. Yeah, I have zoomed. It's not going beyond this zoom actually. Yeah. So we have, you can see how detailed we give 200 thick hollow block wall, and in cement mortar 1:6, and plastering double coat chicken wire mesh of 75 wide in joints. Either side 15 mm thick in 1:4 cement mortar with food grade epoxy paint, and here you can see detail B. That is here you can see the detail B, which is with sunshade sajja and lintel beam of 200 by 300, and then we have the sealant between the window frame and the lintel, sealant in epoxy, polysulfide or silicon all around the window we are defining, and 2000 by 1500 aluminum window with the Lexan glazing, and and we have this sill block. This is, many people are missing this. Please read this. 200 by 200 with the coping sill block. I don't know whether it is visible here. Yeah. Here, detail C you can see. So we are giving the slope here. Here we are giving the slope, and window is fixed here. And then we have this sill block defined, and with the 1:2:4 mix those days, precast. This is in 1995 drawing we made. And skirting, so here you can see skirting we are defining in the flooring, and then we have the flooring 20 thick acid alkali resistant stone fixed on green concrete powered with epoxy, pointed with epoxy. These tiles are pointed with epoxy. So we tested this stone for acid alkali resistance and wear resistance, and we have a 125 thick vacuum diverted flooring, and below that 75 thick PCC. And we have, this is a food industry, so we have this lipping slab, ledge slab, 1 meter from the plinth actually. You can see here, and we have given the detail of this lipping slab or ledge slab from the 1 meter projecting from the, this is for reptile protection, rat protection also. Because this is a food industry, we don't want rats and reptile enter this through window or anything. So this is the plinth wall, you can see, and compacted backfill here, and you have the what you call plinth protection here after the on the natural ground level or formed ground level, and we have the foundation with the size of the foundation and all. So this is the level of detailing. Just I'm showing this for the sake of the detailing level. So we have shown different cross sections of the building. So it's always good to show all these details, you know, lintel, coping on the sill block. And so this is the lead slab and all that. And sorry. So here you can see we are giving the drainage, stormwater drainage and plinth protection. This is very important for plinth protection, you know, here this is the plinth protection, and this is very important for preventing any settlement in the foundations, because and we are, even this plinth level filling we have to protect from this water ingress. So this is very important plinth protection. We give up to 1 meter also, and then we provide the stormwater drain, because the downtakes that we provide in the columns or outside the column, we have to drain the water into the this stormwater drain. So this is the level of detailing even in 95 we have done. So next is the location of the building. We take this is the main access, and this is the access road location of the building which we define. This is also important for planning or calculating the lead of the materials. And this is the plan of the layout of the buildings which we have done in real terms, and this project is now completed. So this is the site layout. We have taken the, it is about 2,600 square yards plot, in which we have planned 9 houses, in triplex houses. And this is the plan of the triplex house with parking in the ground floor and with this drawing room and 1 bedroom here. And as you go up, we have this bedroom with attached toilet, and this is the powder room, and we have the dining and family room, kitchen. And on the top, we have the study room for the children bed, and master bed, and dressing and parking. This is the toilet, attached toilet for the master bed. So this is one of the plans which we have done. And so these are all different types of houses in the same layout, type A, type B, type C. And these are all the houses that we have planned: east facing and west facing, north facing, east facing and west facing. Normally in Hyderabad, nobody will buy a property if you have south facing property. So this is the 3-dimensional view. That's the purpose of my talk, to enlighten people about the importance of detailing and specification. If you see all my lectures, I am trying to highlight the importance of understanding the design intent of the client and prepare the design basis report based on the design intent, and then plan as per the norms. As professionals, we should not deviate from the guidelines, because we are professionals, because we want to protect the safety and living standards of the people. This is our objective as a professional. So we should work with that. Don't worry about your earnings. As you keep doing this, you will automatically become a better professional, and people definitely need better professionals. We are moving towards better, transparent professional life, definitely. RERA is one of the reasons for that, and engineers bill we are trying is another reason. So everybody, every engineer should be, I have given construction supervision SOPs, planning SOPs, now I am giving, and design we have done covered structural design, construction technologies, construction engineering. I feel that whatever 57 lectures I'm giving in this LEAP series are all important for every engineer. So if you have not, if you have missed some of them also, even if it is irrigation, we are supposed to be aware of. So that's why I'm covering all the topics. Please listen to them also. So this is another 10-acre development plan that we have done. So this is the amenities building. This is a highway, and we have planned the residential. This is the present stage. Phase-wise, we plan actually. This is the first phase because there was no pollution control norms. Yeah, for the taking permission, the limitation without pollution control NOC is 20,000 square meters. And 20, you can get pollution control NOC within your state, whichever state. This is a central government norm. So 20,000 square meters to 15,000, sorry, 1,50,000 square meters, you can take NOC from the state level itself. If any construction area goes beyond 1,50,000 square meters, you should go for Ministry of Environment and Forest clearance actually. So this is the planning of a residential building where you can see the corridors. Here you will see all this complexity because of the east-west facing. All the flats are east-west facing. You can see opposite doors. So this is for the Vastu compliance, and we have this fire escape staircases here, 3 staircases and 4 lifts. We have all this, and we have greenery within this also, courtyard also. And this is the 3 meters clear distance here or here, because any open space, you should have minimum 3 meter dimension or 10 feet. So that's why you see this distance. And here we have planned common wall for the sake of structural efficiency and all. Here, this is a planning we did with the most efficient circulation and most efficient structural system. And we could save steel and concrete a lot. And here we have used the aluminum engineered shuttering actually. So we have considered the shear walls because it is a 15-story plus 3-story parking. So this is the plan of a building which we have done. And this is the entire block typical floor plan, ground floor plan. And you know, in this particularly, when you, even when you have high-rise buildings, fire setbacks are followed, you cannot have the projection beyond this building line in the ground and first floor. So your plans will be different for ground and first floor and above the first floor. So that's why I'm showing this. And this is the terrace plan, you can see. And in terrace, we show all these slopes for the weatherproofing. These are all the slopes considered for the weatherproofing. And this is the LIG and EWS, because some time back, there were rules that you have to plan 20% LIG and EWS for, because that's a good norm actually, but somehow builders lobby successfully got it scrapped actually. And they are paying the fee for this LIG and EWS, which is peanuts actually. And government is doing this affordable housing now. But we know, in fact, we all professionals and developers are responsible for whatever slums we are having, bastis we are having in cities. Because if you don't, every one of us want a servant maid, a driver, a helper, and all that near our house, to stay near our house. But we don't plan housing for them. And these working class are the people who cannot afford to travel long distances because they spend more time. If we work for 8 hours, let us say, my driver has to work for 10 hours. If I work for 10 hours, my driver has to work for 12 hours. So definitely, we as professionals should think of housing for them. So that's why I always talk about the importance of affordable housing in the near vicinity of any development. So this is affordable housing we planned in that, but now we have revised this plan because the norms have changed and we are not providing, but we are doing affordable housing somewhere near. So these are the each unit plans actually. You can see different unit plans, living, dining, We have to minimize the circulation space in any planning. So then if you really minimize the circulation area, people will feel it is a bigger flat than what we are offering. So it's very important in planning to give more efficiency in the planning. So this is the 10 acres master plan that we have done with a clubhouse in between, and these are the 15-story residential apartments. Now it is undergoing big change, of course, but so this is another project we did in Kondapur, completed long back, but this is the parking plan. So we have to plan the driveways and all. So minimum 4.5 meter driveway you please plan in any of the parking, because it requires, and ramp required for coming up. So we have basement, and this is the stilt car parking, and this is the apartment plans, because this shape offsets are because of the shape of the site. If you have a sloped site, we maintain the setback and then plan the building like this. And this is the terrace where we have planned certain amenities for community meeting and all. So these are the areas, and this is the cross section. You can see this is 5 floors, but cellar and stilt because of the parking requirement we have planned. And this is the 3-dimensional view. And another central business district, we have done planning. And so this is the site context. I'll not go into the details of the CBD planning. Here you can see this is the CBD area. So this is 50 acres and a total of 83 square kilometers industrial layout, for which we planned the central business district. So master planning, this comes under master planning. So we study the location connectivity. You can see here in the layout, regional connectivity, state highway, national highway, railway line, proposed connecting roads within the layout development and all that. So this is the master plan presentation I'm sharing with you. So for planning, so we have to see the employment opportunities that can arise out of this development, and who are all the possible developers. And here it is the site context. We are doing the contour study and the proposed roads that we have planned. And here you can see the railway line and all that. So this is the temperature, climatic conditions, wind directions. You can see these are all the wind roses. We even study this, and climatic conditions and rainfall. We have to study over the last 10 years. We have studied employment demand, because we have to understand the demand that can arise out of that location. So we have done the CBD projects, similar projects that are developed and how they have grown. We have to draw the inspiration from. So we have studied Shanghai, we have studied this Hyderabad HICC and Bangalore CBD also. And these are all the different CBDs, even Odisha, Coimbatore, we have studied its planning and growth, how it is done. So technical assessment we do, and I'll not spend much time on this exhibition, and all the components of the central business district. We plan and design the composition of this CBD, and we do the technical assessment and transport vision, how it is to be connected, parking to connecting to the highways, water treatment and water source, and then sewage treatment and disposal of the waste in the master plan. We will be doing all this. And district cooling system for air conditioning for large areas, we plan the district cooling systems. And power and infrastructure, sources of power, what will be the power demand for such development, fire safety measures, and central command and control. Nowadays, security, for security reasons and all that, we have to design the central command for the entire 83 square kilometers I am talking about. And intelligent buildings and sustainable buildings, all that we have designed in this. And this is the examples of CBD that have developed. And the component of CBD is exhibition center and convention center we planned. And then we planned, this is the exhibition center, and we have planned the site layout, parking, everything for that. And this is the seating of the convention center. This is the convention center we have planned. So this is the convention center. And then parking for the convention center. And this is the administration building in that area. So I'm not getting, because time is limited, I'll share, I'm just showing you so many planning components are involved in the master plan. So though this may not be directly used for deciding in the master plan, we decide the development control regulation actually. And we take the permission for this, and this is the iconic tower which we have designed, and hotel example and service apartments, all this approach towards master planning. Again, this is the ventilation and lighting, how we consider, and heterogeneous development examples we have studied. And this is the avenues like streets, how they look like. So in the master plan, we consider this also. And aesthetic examples. And this is the different master plan options that are there. And this is the final master plan that we have presented. And ground coverage and FAR limitations and all. And mechanical, electrical, firefighting, all are shown in this master plan. Heat load and electrical planning and building design. So architectural, structural. So we have to plan all this structural system, wind loads, earthquake loads, load combinations, and structural systems. We have to consider framed structures, wooden structure, concrete structure, or RCC pre-stressed concrete things, and steel frames. So these are all the options that we can consider, and we should always do this value engineering while we are deciding the structural system actually, and the materials. Loads, types of loads, arches, and load-bearing wall. This is for simple buildings. You can still go for load-bearing wall with the slab and interior structures. So this I have covered in the structural systems. So I'll not go into this construction technologies and all that. We have this for large-scale constructions. We have to do this value engineering even for construction technologies in combination with the structural systems. And shear wall systems with base isolation, rigid frame. And so this is the study we did even for various air conditioning and security systems, access control, electrical, exclusion, design intent for public health engineering, also like water supply, sanitation, and then here we have hydropneumatic systems. All aspects we have to consider while designing. And this is another project we did, housing. It is I'm only presenting the presentation we did for a design competition, and we won the design out of 9 participants in this design. We are rated the best. That's why I'm sharing this planning. Though we didn't do this job because of commercially we were higher, we didn't, but still I'm sharing the planning aspects because we are rated the best in ventilation, lighting, circulation spaces. And this is the township where we have planned very efficiently. And you can see this planning. So many residential towers, even the concept of using pyramid and dome, because it's a nuclear power township, we have used the domes because when you think of a nuclear plant, you will think of the dome actually. And energy, pyramid is the representation of the energy. That's how we use these elements. And whole township is planned considering these domes and pyramids. And this is the planning of the buildings. So I'll just try to go to the these open spaces and the ventilation, how we have planned. Because of the, this is the hostel building. And this is the auditorium we have planned. And these are the domes considered. Dome is a common element and design concept, client's requirements, climatic design, and the land built environment, architectural features, circulation, natural light, and cross ventilation. So client's requirements we have considered. So this is the maximum temperature was 42 degrees, minimum temperature is 17 degrees, and winter is 30 degrees. Relative humidity is 55%, because it is important when we design air conditioning, we have to consider the relative humidity factor, and even in the ventilation, and rainfall 800 average here. And the wind speed varies from at 10 meters height 30 to 50 meters per second, and at 60-meter height 50 to 60 meter per second. So these are the resistant, because it's a sea coast, we proposed corrosion resistant steel and sulfate resistant cement in the concrete, and clear cover. Depending on this, we have considered moderate exposure condition for the clear cover, and finishes we have considered all this specification. So this is the one of the intent of the client was every resident of quarters here should have the view of the sea. So we are presenting, you can see the line of sight, how each apartment can see the sea view, can get the sea view. So this is what I have done, and land and built environment concepts are presented here, and car parking, and design concept evaluation basis was client's requirements, climatic design, and land and built environment. We are presenting lighthouse near sea coast. So you, in the night time, this dome looks like a lighthouse, and pitched roof matching with the existing buildings had sloped roof. So we wanted to match that, and canopy and roof gardens creating insulation to the roof, top roof, and possibility to have solar panels for solar power and water heating requirements. So we have given these slopes. And so circulation versus carpet area and the relative disposition of the rooms. So here you can see we are showing the what is the average distance you have to cover to reach each apartment. So we have to normally plan the positioning of this access staircase and the elevator to, for every resident to have the equal distance. So that's how we are showing here. And this is the circulation space, relative disposition within the flat. Once you reach the flat, what is the total circulation area you have? So we have calculated the percentage of the circulation area is 31%. So this is very important to minimize this circulation area in planning of any apartment. And this is access to various apartments, and this is the another circulation area. Here you can see for higher executives. No, it won't affect. So this is the another internal. So for each unit, dwelling unit, here you can see 27% circulation. So if you go for bigger apartment, you will get lesser circulation space. And I don't know, here we have not calculated the circulation distance. So here you can see another disposition of the apartment and access corridor. Here it is 31% relative disposition and common area, circulation space. So these are all the different circulation spaces we have planned for the, so odd shape for more surface and more openings and more natural ventilation. So we are just explaining about the natural ventilation. So every room should have minimum 2 openings other than the door actually. So this is the concept we are trying to explain here. Yeah, sorry, I have not uploaded the presentations. I am suddenly busy with some project. So in fact, I have to edit these presentations before I upload to Box Drive. So we will do it. Please give me some time. And the ventilation, so here for every unit, we are showing the cross ventilation, you know, for every room, you have to plan the cross ventilation, which is very important. So this is the cross ventilation drawings we are showing. So you can see the cross ventilation for every room here. So plinth area, wall area with respect to plinth area. So this is, we are showing the efficiency. It should be less than 15%, that is carpet area versus plinth area. So this is what we have shown for each of the planning we did, the percentage of wall area. And the floor space index, we have limited to 2 here. You can see total floor space index. And these are the wall area versus plinth area total calculation. And the bylaws, maximum permissible floor space index. And then balcony with the sleeping arrangement they wanted. And so this is the roof design treatment, slopes, ridge and valley, slopes and roof treatment. We have shown the detail here. And structural system, we have used shuttering, engineered large panel formwork, engineered formwork, and RCC walls for structural efficiency because we planned high-rise building. Shear wall is considered. Assured quality and time and finish and seismic qualification of the buildings and wind resistant design and open foundations. And firefighting, hydro-pneumatic water supply system, water treatment plant, and elevators, electrical from TNSEB. This is Kodunkulam, so Tamil Nadu. So the DG set backup and water and drainage in public health, firefighting, fire hydrant, fire alarm, hydro-pneumatic for raw water and recycled water, and water treatment plants, and STP, softener, water softener. And STP I'm mentioning in water treatment plant because we are providing recycled water. Elevators for passenger and service lifts. And fire hydrant systems, we have downcomers, wetterizer. So these are all the concepts of water supply you can see, and water treatment. So, these are the diagrams of the water supply and water supply design brief, and then electrical. So power requirements, we also define all these things. So this is all about planning and design of the buildings. So if anybody, one of you have doubts, you can ask me now. Any questions I missed? Yeah, I'll upload the presentations. Give me some more time. Even I'm occupied today also. Open area and more architectural elements, will it affect FSI? No. Floor space index is not affected by that. You can, yeah, somebody asked me where they will get missed lectures. It is in my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is in my name, Ponnada Surya Prakash. So you can watch if you have missed any lectures of mine out of these 57 lectures. Detailed drawings is very important aspect of any engineer doing. As per RERA, there is difference between carpet area calculation compared to general. Yeah, that is right. But RERA, you have to follow that definition when you are following RERA. And similarly for affordable housing, it is different. Carpet area calculation. No, this is in the bylaws actually. You have to look for bylaws for every. First of all, you should identify your location under which development control norm it falls. And then you can get these bylaws online also. You can download and study these bylaws. That's why I just gave you exposure of important aspects as per the bylaws. And how to estimate electrical and plumbing costs manually. Yeah, we have thumb rules for electrical and plumbing. Normally electrical can change vary between 75 rupees to 150 rupees per square feet cost, and then plumbing will be about 40 rupees to 75 rupees. And ground floor parking accelerates soft story. No, why you are saying? In fact, we have to, as engineers, we have to plan to eliminate the variation in the what you call this structural stiffness. Yeah, you can get the FAR from the bylaws only. How to calculate the land area to provide a client different area of apartment. Plot area, that is the plot area, boundaries and area. Now due to COVID pandemic, the work from home concept, so during planning, we need to, yeah, that's exactly. I have talked earlier also, post-COVID, what will be the thing? Forget COVID, even if people find vaccine for COVID, we are all getting used to doing work from home, so more companies will be preferring to work from home actually. Designing of circular splay, hexagonal shapes of the buildings affect the stability. Who said? Hexagon, somebody is disturbing me in Zoom, please mute it, please. Lot of disturbance. Bhaskar, can you mute all, please? Yeah. Bhaskar?
Yes, sir.
Somebody is disturbing me here. Mute all. Yeah, sorry. So, designing of circular splay, circular shape and hexagon are more structurally stiff actually. So thank you all. I hope I have covered all the questions. If I have missed also, you can ask me through Facebook Messenger or through my WhatsApp. Ground floor parking doesn't accelerate soft, so we have to avoid soft story in the design. We have to minimize the variation in the stiffness. So post-COVID, every work from home will increase. So in our planning of the residential places, we have to consider planning for these space for work from home requirements. And also there will be requirement of workspaces in the residential development. So we have to consider that in our planning from now on, actually. Yeah, thank you very much all. Let's meet tomorrow. And I am calling it a day for today's lecture. Bye. Thank you. Hi.